Well, g'day and welcome back to the shed. And today I've got this Philips Bakelite radio. I'm not sure yet of the model number because the sticker on the back's been torn off. I previously had a similar radio. I think it was a model 2262. Turned out to be a beautiful radio. I restored that and sadly I ended up selling it. And I saw this for sale and I thought, well, why not? It's probably something similar. And although this cabinet style is older, the previous one had chrome bars across here and I think there was some difference with the grill. Also, I noticed this has got, I just now noticed this has got these two knobs on the front and it's got knobs on the side as well, which suggests a different chassis layout. So, it looks to be in pretty good nick. Apart from being dirty, the dial looks intact. The Bakelite's intact. All the knobs are there. Even the grill cloth. And I think this is the original grill cloth. It's still there. So we might be in luck with it. Hopefully, turn it into a nice radio. I'll just dust it off a bit, so I can have a better look at the dial. See, the Bakelite really is very dull on this, but I dare say it'll polish up okay. And yeah, it looks like it must have a short, it says short wave along the bottom here, so it obviously has a short wave band. The printing on the dial looks to be all intact. I can't see anything peeling off. It is a glass dial, so I'm going to have to treat it with considerable care. But it's not too bad. Alright, so let's turn it around and have a look at the back of it. Not much holding it on. This doesn't look right. And we've got, well, that's a Phillips head screw there, that doesn't belong. That can go in the drawer. The cord is, yeah, I think that'll that'll need replacing. Okay. This is not what I expected. It's clearly got a missing valve. Don't know what that would be. It's got 4 pins. I guess that'll be the rectifier. Gee, old octal valves, goat cans, rusty as. It's got a dial light socket up there which is empty. The speaker looks like about 8 inches. Electrode, don't know, has it got a coil? Yes, it has a coil on it, so it's not a permanent magnet speaker. The speaker cone actually looks, from the back, looks pretty good. This would be aerial and earth. Gee, I guess this is the RF stage here. Power supply. That might be the audio. I don't know. It's got 3 tubes in it, so it wouldn't just be the audio. It looks like an IF can there. Filled, are they IF cans? I guess so. Yeah, transformer down there. Let's have a look. Got an Arts and P sticker on it, and it's got an F prefix, which, if I remember rightly, makes it F. I think that's around 1940. So this is older, much older than the other one I had. The other one I had Noble-based valves, small miniature ones, and it was a lot differently set up to this. This has got 3 separate chassis, I guess, if you count the power supply in the middle here. Wow, okay. Let's just clean it up. I think I'll look it up, see what model it is, find out what that valve is. Okay, well, I've had some luck. I managed to get service data from Kevin Chant's website. Thank you very much, Kevin. You saved my life. The Radio Museum did have a circuit diagram, a schematic, but that's all. But this has, apart from the schematic, which unfortunately has a bit of a blotch on it, but I was able to get a schematic from the Radio Museum, so between the two of them I'll work it out. So this is a model 1052, and it has an EK2 octode. It says a 6D6 RF pentode, has an RF stage, it's got a 3-gang tuning capacitor there, a 75 AVC demodulator and audio amp, so that'll be a triode preamp, duo diode triode it says, an EL3 output, and an 80 rectifier, so that is an 80, and I have got one there, I just checked. So I guess we're winning so far. Gee, what a mess though. The Radio Museum notes that it has 3 separate chassis with permanent cables between them, making it very difficult to work on. Great. I was looking for a nice, easy, maybe 50s radio to work on. Look at that. Now, there's notes here on how to remove the chassis. And I read through it, and these Philips engineers, when it comes to dials, they usually have something nasty up their sleeve, and this is no exception. With this one, you have to string the dial with the chassis in the radio, it seems. It's got a dial string along the back here and pulleys attached to the cabinet. So you have to remove that. And it said something about clamping it to the dial drum with special clips, which are Philips part number, which you can get from your Philips dealer. I don't think I'd have much luck with that. So I'll read through the instructions again and then see what I can do with it. Okay, it says to remove the knobs. The knobs on the front may be removed by holes in the bottom of the cabinet. So let's just have a look at that. Haven't looked at the bottom yet. Who knows what horrors lurk here? It's wood. I don't see any holes. Oh, here. Yeah, that'll be it. Yes. So that's the little bugger there. If this is the way things are going to go with this radio, it's going to be a long project. Alright, so I've got the other one to do, the tuning side. Let's see if I can do something similar with it. I can see the knob through the outside here. I might be able to get that from the outside. Aha, that'll be good. Here we go. The chassis is poking out a little bit more and I can... Yes, there we go. Someone may have given up trying to put it in there. The knobs are intact though, they're pretty good. They'll polish up all right. Okay, so that's those two. Now, read the instructions regarding the other knobs. Oh, it's a heavy thing. Heavy lump. Look at the dirt on the bench top there from it. Just, yeah. Okay, so the service manual says that the grub screws for the knobs in the side are accessible through slots in the chassis. And I guess this might be it. Again, I can't see the actual slot in the screw. Oh, that might be it. I think I've got it. Yep. There we go. Big fat screw in this one, which is a good thing because you'd never get it otherwise. Okay. No screw in that one. That came out without a screw in it. I have to see what I can do with that. Well, that's the knobs off, and that was a bit of an exercise in itself. Okay, next it says to remove the dial cord by unthreading it from these two pulleys, one there and one up here. And I've got a couple of allocator clips here. I'm going to clamp the cord to the drum using them, hopefully, so that it just doesn't unthread itself everywhere. Only a Phillips engineer would expect you to replace the dial cord in the chassis with the chassis in place. I can't believe this, and I really am beginning to doubt my ability to get this thing back together. It's a wire, I think. Right, now it says to release the bolts holding the front of the cabinet to the baseboard. I'm guessing they will be underneath. Don't know. That holds in the various chassis, so this must be them. I guess. That has a nut on the inside of it, all the way in here. Maybe I can get my finger on it. That's going to be fun to replace too. There we go. And that nut, yeah, it's just going to fall. I can't get it. This one here, similar story, I guess. And that nut has now fallen down the gut somewhere. Not much I can do. I can at least see where it goes, so that's something. Okay, next it says to release these fasteners holding the chassis to the cabinet, so I'll try that. Maybe. Yep. And that looks like a rubber grommet that's gone hard. And to release these two clamps, which it looks like you have to do from underneath. So on its side again, and I hope this doesn't fall out suddenly. Okay, I don't really like this, it feels in danger of falling, so I'm going to hang this off the end of the bench and do it this way. Okay, so it says the chassis may now be withdrawn from the baseboard or from the cabinet. So let's see if it may. That's not happening. Here we go. I didn't mention releasing the speaker, but I just did, and yeah, it seems to be coming coming off. Gee, even this cabinet has a bit of weight to it. What happened there? Something dropped. Okay, well, let's have a look at it. The speaker looks good. Looks like one, is that a hole or just a mark? I think it's a hole, but gee, it looks, oh, there's another little insect hole up there, but it doesn't scrape. Of course, I don't know if it has continuity or if the field coil has continuity, but of course if it doesn't, that's almost a deal breaker. Looking at the wiring here, there's all this perished rubber wiring around it. That's come off altogether by the looks of it. It looks like it went to there. This has actually melted onto the chassis here. So that'll have to be changed before I think about powering it up. Luckily there's not all that much of it. This is the band switch here, and according to the diagram it just switches around a couple of coils and the oscillator coil, or the aerial and oscillator coil, that's all it does. A few paper caps, nothing that you wouldn't expect. Interesting variety of spiders and dust. The other side is similar. We've got lots of this perished yellow rubber wiring. But not so much that it's going to be a drama, I suppose. This one here is also melted to the chassis. So, yeah, it would be a worry if you tried to power this up like this. Yeah, so I'll have to do a bit to this before I go and plug it in and see if it goes bang. Oh, it's another thing. Look at this cap on here. That doesn't even look like it belongs. It's got a squashed wrong type of cap on it by the looks of it. And this has had a bit of wire soldered on from here. This wire here is, oh, it's got a resistor or something in there. What's that got? I'm not sure. I'll have to take that apart and see what needs doing to it. It looks like it kind of fits, but it's not quite right. So someone's been messing with that. Someone's been messing with this, putting this electrolytic in, but probably a long time ago. I don't think this has been touched for a long time. Anyway, let's just explore a little further and then I'll start changing this wiring. I'll give it just a dust off at least to start with. Make it a little bit less revolting to handle. Here's a curious thing. I was just looking at the fact that this valve cap doesn't fit here on the, I guess this is the mixer oscillator. And it's, according to the schematic, it's supposed to have an EK2 in here. Pulling this out, it's actually an EK32. EK32 with an octal base. And underneath that is this neat adapter. And it has the, here we go, the side contact valves that I've recently come across in another radio, and quite a neatly made up adapter. I don't know if this was professional or not. It may have, the radio may have come out like that, or someone might have made this up. I don't know, but it's a neat job anyway. I'll put it back in. Unfortunately, it's only unfortunate that the top cap doesn't fit in. Now, always got to try and get these things the right way around. Now this is the output tube. It has no markings on it. It's another side contact valve. According to the schematic, this is an EL3. And at least the coating seems to be intact. I'll see if I can find any markings, but it doesn't look very promising. Don't know if you can see it there, but there is EL3 very faintly marked on the glass there. Okay, so I've very carefully prised the goat can off the 6D6, which I think is a second IF, and it's an octal valve. So we've got a mixture of valve bases here. I suppose if it was made in, 38, 39 or 1940, they probably used whatever they had access to. The war would have been causing shortages of components at that point, I guess. But yeah, we've got this strange adapter on the base of this tube here. We've got an octal here. We've got side contact here. So yeah, it looks a bit of a hodgepodge. Okay, so I'm unscrewing the power supply from under here. The reasoning behind that is that I want to see if I can check the transformer and the speaker field coil before I go any further, and I can't really do that without taking this out. The speaker is attached to the power supply in such a way that it's very difficult to get the nuts off it with the power supply chassis in place. So now I can move that a little bit. Not very much. Gee, it's all mixed up together. Okay, so if I move that out, I can then get at the nuts on the underside of this saddle, which holds the speaker in. In fact, that might just be loose. No, it's not loose. Okay, well, it's taken about an hour to get to this point, but coffee breaks included. But I've finally got a clip on one side of the field coil, and the other side is here. And I should be seeing 1500 ohms. Go times 100. And that's 10. Yep, about 15, 1.5K. So that's the field coil. Now this has two electrolytic capacitors, two 8-by capacitors to ground, and I would have thought that when I connected the meter I'd see a lot of current flow until they charged up, but I'm not seeing that at all, which makes me think these caps aren't doing anything at all. But it does look like the field coil has continuity, so that's a start. I'll see what I can find about the rest of the transformer. It is really hard to get in here. Even with the chassis out like this, all the connections are up under here. There's no easy way of getting it out, I don't think, unless I demount the transformer. So I might just have to do that. I'll see how I go. The Radio Museum were not wrong when they said this is difficult to work on. Okay, now to check the primary of the transformer, I've got to look across the cord. That's not quite so easy. So I think the easiest thing to do would be to remove the cord altogether, and I'll replace it with a new one now just because of the difficulty of getting in here. I don't want to have to do it twice. So cut that off. And it's good riddance to that. Now, if I can get in here, haha. Easier said than done. but that bit of manky red wire there will be the active, no doubt. Just cut him off there. And where's the neutral go? It's only a 2-chord lead. Get my torch out and have a look in here. Now it goes up onto that terminal there. And there's the end of it. So I should be able to get a meter onto the primary and just see what it measures. About 52, so about 60 ohms on the primary, which I guess is about right for a primary. But of course we're looking at DC resistance, so it really doesn't mean very much, except that it has continuity and it's got some resistance there. We're not looking at a dead short, so both of those are good things. So I've finally got access to the secondary, worked out where they go, and it looks like just about 60 ohms, similar to the primary. It's got 300 stamped on the transformer. So 250 to 300, I would expect a similar DC resistance, I guess. So that looks probably okay. I'll go ahead and check some of the other windings on both sides of the centre tap. I've taken the RF side of the chassis off the baseboard so that I can move things around a little bit more. I've disconnected the lead to the dial lamp off the speaker, that helps a little bit, and I can at last lay the speaker down flat. So now I'm going to go about changing these caps in the power supply, and it looks like this one's been put in to replace this. Now this is according to the service data, this is a 32 microfarad cap, and I think it does actually, well, it's hard to read it, but it may have said 32. So these go from either side of the field coil, totally conventional pie filter, to the centre tap. And the centre tap is held above ground by another electrolytic. This one here actually, it says electrolytic capacitor, Ducon. Doesn't look electrolytic to me. It also says red is positive. Well, that's good because there's no red to be seen on it. Anyway, this one here is conventionally wired. The red here goes to the field coil and various other points. So it'll be pretty straightforward. So what is this that they've replaced it with? I can't read its value there anywhere. But according to the schematic and the data, this is 32 mics. So I'll put two 16s in parallel and hook them up to that and see how that goes. So just soldering in this pair of 16 UFs, and that'll be that bit done. They fitted pretty neatly underneath, so just make sure I've got enough in there to capture everything. That should be all right. I've I put in this little tag strip. I just screwed into the end here. It was the only way I could find to support the caps, and I think it should work pretty well. It keeps everything out of the way and tidy. Okay, well that's the power supply taken care of. I put this 8 UF, I just left the wires there, tied them up with heat shrink, and I've just soldered this cap in their place. That goes from the centre tap to the B plus there. And these two go the other side of the field coil from the centre tap there onto B plus here and off to this chassis. I'm just making sure that this speaker saddle will sit in there without touching anything it shouldn't be touching, and that's okay that side. It's a little bit close to the negative of this, but I think it's far enough away, and I don't think the speaker will sit far enough back. I'll have to keep an eye on it, but I think that will be okay. Well, I think I'll call it a night now. Come back tomorrow and I'll start looking at the wiring on this other chassis here. Well, now that the power supply chassis is more or less done, I thought I may as well start on this crumbling wiring. This wiring is pretty much the same all over the set, so I don't think it's due to a problem, overheating problem or something. It's just perished due to age. So I'll start by replacing that, and I may as well do the recap as I go. I don't see much point in going over joints that I've already made to do it. I may, if caps aren't involved in that wiring, I may leave them there till last, but I'll work through each piece as I go, then I'll go back and do the other side. The RF side has probably a similar amount of this crumbling wiring in it. Going to have to take this cap out anyway to get at it. Well, where does this wire end up? It ends up down there. Yep, the cap is going to have to go. Well, I finally finished this one side. This is the output side. There was more perished wiring there than I thought, and I've changed all the caps while I was in there. This is the casualty list. Some of this wire really is quite crunchy. I guess it once was rubber, but there was no way that I could power it up with that in there, so there's a similar amount in the other side on the RF side, so I'll set about changing that and recapping that. I do like to have a set running before I recap it if I can, but in this case it's just not going to be possible, so I just have to hope that I haven't made any silly mistakes. I've been going very slowly and carefully and checking everything against the schematic as I go, so I think that, well, I hope that that I've got everything right, that everything makes sense. Of course, I don't know what other horrors are lurking in there. I may have faulty valves. I checked continuity on the IF can here. The pot may need cleaning out, spraying, or may not work at all. Continuity on the speaker transformer, the power transformer. We've changed the filter capacitors on the power supply. So there really is only the RF side to go. But I've just about had enough of this for one day, so I'm going to put it to bed and come back and have a look at it tomorrow. Well, it's Saturday morning and I came back and had another look at this, and I thought I'd finished it, but then I realised that the flat on the shaft of this tone control ended up facing up this way, and that was at its most anti-clockwise position, and because of that I would never be able to put a screwdriver through here to put the knob on once the chassis was in the cabinet. So I've had to move this switch around. I noticed that the original knob didn't have a grub screw in it, and it was held in with a broken off matchstick. So someone's obviously tinkered with this, moved the switch around to its incorrect position and then not been able to put the knob on. So I don't want that again. So I've had to lengthen the lead on this cap, and I changed a couple of bits of wire here just to make it work. But that should be all right now. So I think we'll call this side finished, and we'll have a look at the RF side of the chassis. The RF chassis, because it's a separate unit. Okay, so here we have it, and there's a similar amount of crunchy wiring in here. I'll replace what I can of it. Getting in behind this band switch is going to be a bit of a drama, but I'll do the best I can, and I'll come back when I've finished that, and then I don't think there's much more to do before I can actually apply power and see what happens. Well, that's it for the RF side chassis. I've replaced all the caps except this one because I can't yet identify it or work out its value. A lot of these don't have values printed on them. So until I work out what it is, I've checked it and it's not shorted, but that's about all I can say. Some of the old rubber's still stuck to the chassis here. I could probably chip that off. So we're at the exciting stage where I might be able to plug some valves in and see what happens. I'll start with the power supply valve and just check voltages around the place, and then go from there. Alright, so I've got it plugged into the dim bulb. The dim bulb's plugged into the variac. Probably overkill, but there you go. So we'll just turn that on and slowly apply some voltage to it. Nothing drastic happening. That's on 140 volts. I'll just let it sit there for a minute. Okay, the variac's set on 200 now, just slowly wound it up. It's still going through the dim bulb, and just see if we've got anything on the secondary of the transformer, and we've got about 120 volts AC on there. We'll be losing a lot through the dim bulb, of course. I'll just slowly wind that up to 220 to 40, and we're now seeing about 180 volts on the secondary, and no smoke, so that's a good thing. And the dim bulb's not lighting up, so I guess there's no shorts in there. Okay, so I've got the variac set at about 230, dim bulb is off. So I'll just see what we've got. I swapped my digital meter just for ease of use. And it's saying 506 volts on the secondary of the transformer. That's of course completely unloaded, so I don't know what it would settle down to. Okay, so I've plugged in the 80. I got this off another Philips scrap chassis that I had. I've got no idea if it works or not, but if it's not, at least I think I can probably get hold of an 80 if I try. I've got the meter hooked up to the B+, I think it's the second side of the choke of the speaker field coil. It's really hard to access anything in here, so I'll just look at what comes up. So applying power, and I'm not sure if I'm seeing a heater in there. Oh, we're getting, what's this, 720 volts. Oh, hang on, we're on AC. We should be looking at DC volts here. 500, and we've got 328, 329. So the rectifier appears to be working. Yes, I can see a heater glowing in there. I should be seeing two heaters. Yes, I think I'm seeing two heaters. I'll just turn this light off and see what I can see. Yes, definitely two heaters glowing in there. Alright, so that's promising. We have B+. Where do we go from here? I guess I could plug in the output tube and see if we get anything out of the speaker without having, or I could just put the rest of them in. There's no reason to think that there's going to be a problem. Okay, so I'll just bring it up on dim bulb and with the rest of the valves in and see if we get smoke or noises or anything at all. I figure there's about a 50-50 chance of it working. Either it will or it won't. That's how I get the 50-50. If it doesn't, there's a 50-50 chance that I can fix it. Either I can or I can't. So that all in all is a 75% chance of it working. Maybe. Okay, I've changed my mind. I think what I'll do is I'll put in the output valve, the EL3. I've just cleaned up the contacts around here, and I noticed there's a small crack in the base here somewhere. I can't see it now. It's not big. There it is, just there. I'll put it in for now, but I will have to fix that up before I go too much further. So this goes, that one goes in there. I think that's how it works. And these go in with a snap. There we go. And for this I'll just work out which is the plate, and I'll put the meter on the plate and see what happens there. Okay, I've got the meter on the plate. It's showing just over 200 volts on the plate. I'm not really hearing any hum or anything. Nothing from the speaker really. Hasn't had long to warm up. See if there's anything when I touch. Got a slight crackle from the speaker when I touch it with a screwdriver, but I should be getting a pretty hefty hum. What I'm getting is not much more than a slight crackle. A bit disappointing. I was hoping that we'd at least have the amplifier section working. Anyway, what I might do is just check some other voltages, see what's going on. Okay, so there's the plate sitting on 210 volts now, 209. That other one there will be the screen, and it's sitting on 221. Okay. There's the grid, and I'm getting a slight crackle when I touch the grid. That's the cathode there, and I should be seeing, I guess, some bias voltage on that, and I'm seeing nothing. That's between the cathode should be attached to the center tap of the transformer, which should be a few volts above ground. We've got that on 20 volts now. 0.1, that's not much. Yeah, so there's not much happening with that output valve. Nothing looks wrong. I guess we've yeah, it's hot, so it's getting heater. Yeah, not too sure where we're going from here. I suppose I can try for dirty contacts and whatever, try cleaning them a bit. I don't know. I'll pull the valve out and see if it makes a noise when I wriggle it. Very slight crackling noise, nothing much. Looks like, well, I suppose we could have a dud valve, or I could have done something horribly wrong with the wiring. I don't know. Okay, well, I've put the rest of the valves in. These 6-pin ones are rather odd. You just have to look for the 2 fat pins. The goat cans came up well. I had them in vinegar. Anyway, I don't expect to get much out of it because we're getting nothing out of this output, so hardly worth it. But I'll put it on dim bulb and see how it goes with all the valves in, see what sort of current we're getting and if there's any problems there. I doubt if we'll hear anything though. So here goes, on dim bulb, power on. Yeah, bulb lights up briefly and then goes off. Not much at all really. And we'll just wait. It should come up again as they start to conduct, if they do anything at all. Got 205 volts on the B+, going down slightly, which suggests they're starting to conduct, and the dim bulb has got faint glow in it. And it's dropping now. Well, may as well go to full power. There's obviously nothing shorting badly in it, so let's just do that. So off dim bulb, and B+ has come up to 195, 194. And still not hearing anything. No, nothing. Not a sausage. Well, at least I know there's no shorts in it. I can't really tell if we've got heaters. I can see a heater in the EK2. I can't really see any heaters in the others. Oh yes, I can see one in the 75. I can't see well enough into the 6D6 to see. The can's slightly warm, the goat can. I was just fiddling around with it, trying to work out why we didn't have any sound coming from it. I made a bit of a crackling noise and some noise came up, so I tuned around a bit. And what's come up, the volume control is very scratchy. It's possibly that that's causing trouble. I don't know if you can tell, but that's Indonesian, and it's working on short wave. Now, I can't seem to get anything on medium wave. I'll have another crack at it, but I don't think. Now that should be medium wave. And I can hear like carriers and noise, but no stations. Not a sausage. It's almost like the oscillator's not running on medium wave. There is nothing there, nobody home. So that seems like as good a place as any to finish with part one. We've obviously got a long way to go before it's a good working radio. I don't know why medium wave isn't working, but we will get there. I think at least it's doing something, so that's a good start. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the shed for part two.